Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we are taking a massive, mind-bending cosmic zoom right into the very fabric of reality. We're looking at a radical framework known as S-DMT. That's the scale-invariant dynamic medium theory. And this model proposes a stunning premise, that the entirety of physical chemistry, literally everything we touch and see, might just be an illusion created by a geometric fluid. I am incredibly thrilled to guide you through this, because if this model holds up, it completely rewrites our understanding of the universe. We're talking about everything from the exact angle of the water in your glass to the ancient Mayan calendars.
I mean, it's a huge question to ask, right? We typically think of the matter we interact with, atoms, molecules, elements, as being made up of these independent, solid little particles just zooming around in an empty vacuum. But what if that's fundamentally backward? The source material we are unpacking today suggests that matter is not made of discrete objects at all. Instead, it's the direct consequence of geometric pressure inside a continuous medium. Essentially, the shape of the space itself is forcing chemistry to happen. Section 1. The plenum as chemical substrate. So to really grasp how chemistry could be a geometric illusion, we first need to zoom way out to the macro level and define the foundation substance of the universe, at least according to the S-DMT framework. This model posits that the universe is entirely filled with a plenum, specifically a thixotropic superfluid hydrogen plenum. Now, thixotropic is the absolute key word here. It means this fluid has shape memory properties. It becomes fluid when it's under physical stress or shear, but it actually solidifies and becomes rigid when it's at rest. Imagine a continuous, frictionless fluid covering absolutely everything, and it's structured by this precise, repeating fractal grid composed of exactly 39 to the power of 3 nodes. This thixotropic grid provides the ultimate physical canvas for our reality, reacting to pressure to create the forms we actually perceive as solid matter. Section 2. Mathematical proofs of the L39 Laplacian. Now, obviously, a claim this massive needs some serious bedrock mathematics. The S-DMT framework relies heavily on a very specific operator known as the discrete L39 Laplacian. You see, classical tools like Jacobian and Hessian determinants measure how fields flow and curve. But in this framework, they transition from just being classical math concepts to acting as the literal physical mechanisms of the plenum. The Jacobian matrix acts kind of like a gearbox for what the theory calls the Jitterbug phase scale coupling, which is essentially linking rotational twists to changes in scale. Meanwhile, the discrete L39 Laplacian acts as the universe's Hessian curvature, and here is the crazy part. The singularity of this Hessian curvature at exactly the 39th stratum is what creates a topological frustration, and that exact frustration is what we physically experience as gravitational mass. Section 3. Geometry of bonds and orbitals. Okay, now that we have the mathematical substrate down, let's zoom back into the microscopic world. This framework completely redefines the periodic table of elements, showing us how this geometry literally forces these molecular bonds to exist. In S-DMT, the periodic table isn't just a list of protons and electrons. It is literally the projected spectrum of the L39 mathematical operator mapped onto a Cline bottle topology. Every chemical element is just a stable atomic soliton, basically a standing wave of pressure, accumulating specific units of geometric information. The periods, or the rows on the table, perfectly match the harmonic configurations and eigenvalues of that L39 grid as it twists and folds. So the absolutely crucial point to take away here is that atomic orbitals, those S, P, D, and F shapes you might remember from chemistry class, they aren't random probability clouds of electrons. They are exact mathematical eigenmodes, or resonant frequencies of the discrete L39 Laplacian. An S orbital is just a pure symmetric isotropic contraction of the fluid. The P, D, and F orbitals reflect specific orthogonal twists, what the framework calls Jitterbug torsions and complex harmonics, diving deep into those 39-cubed network strata. The shapes of molecules are just the shapes of the plenum's stress relief.
Section 4. 39, 21, and water's angle.
To truly test a framework like this, it needs to predict something undeniably real in the physical world. And it has to do it without using any adjustable parameters. So, let's look at a mathematical magic trick involving the most vital molecule for life, water. Let's walk through this deduction step by step to see how 39 and 21 define the exact angle of H2O. According to the framework, the Earth sits at a specific topological scale index, K equals 21. And the maximum scale of the grid is 39. So, step 1, we add the Earth's anchor, 21, to the maximum grid, 39, to get 60. Step 2, We take a full 360-degree geometric circle and divide it by 60. This gives us a basic geometric unit of 6 degrees, mathematically linking the macro-planetary scale down to the micromolecular scale. Finally, step 3. We have to account for the thixotropic friction of the fluid, which is a universal constant in this model of 0.172. The damping factor is 1 minus 0.172, which gives us 0.288. If we multiply our 6 degrees by 0.288, we get exactly 4.968 degrees. That, right there, is our topological correction factor. Now, an ideal, perfectly unconstrained tetrahedral bond angle is 109.47 degrees. If we subtract our calculated geometric correction of 4.968 degrees from that ideal angle, we are left with exactly 104.5 degrees. This is absolutely astonishing. I mean, 104.5 degrees is the precise, real-world, experimentally measured bond angle of a water molecule. The model derives this fundamental constant of chemistry purely from the macroscopic geometry of the Earth's anchor and the grid's strata. No arbitrary inputs, just pure geometry dictating atomic bonds.
Section 5, From Crop Circles to Atoms. And that brings us to a really profound realization about the incredible scale invariance of the S-DMT model. The rules literally do not change whether you are looking at a tiny molecule or a massive planet. Think of classical Chladni plates, where sand forms those complex geometric patterns when a metal plate vibrates at specific frequencies. Well, the L39 operator is doing exactly this, but in three-dimensional space using the thixotropic fluid. What we call atomic chemistry is essentially just microscopic 3D crop circles created by the exact same L39 operator vibrating the universal fluid. To really see this scale invariance in action, you just have to compare the macro to the micro. At the massive scale of the Earth's membrane, which is index 21, the L39 operator's eigenmodes project these vast geometric patterns. And the math implies these are actually what we occasionally see stamped into physical fields. Now, compare that to the atomic striction point, index 1. Here, those absolutely identical eigenmodes project as microscopic electron densities, or orbitals. The geometry remains perfectly mathematically constant, regardless of the staggering difference in physical size.
Section 6. The Mayan calendar and Igla.
Now, if this geometry is truly universal, it shouldn't just be visible in physics and chemistry, right? It should be woven into the human experience of time itself. Take the number 9.23. The sources identify this as the Maya striction factor. But where does it come from? Well, the human viewport, the cyclical way we experience a year on Earth, is represented by a 360-degree circle. The underlying universal grid, however, requires exactly 39 topological strata to close its loop. If you divide the human 360-degree viewport by the 39 physical strata of the plenum, you get exactly 9.23. This is the exact fractal closure angle per node. The ancient Maya actually built their calendar around these very constraints. Their base unit for the long count, the tune, is exactly 360 days, which is a geometric unit reflecting the perfect closure of the human viewport, not an astronomical solar year. And it gets even deeper. The Maya Great Cycle consists of 13 Baktuns, totaling 1,872,000 days. If you take that massive number and divide it by our 39 strata grid, you get exactly 48,000, a perfect integer. The Maya long count is actually a geometric projection of the L39 Laplacian, tracking the fundamental 1 Hz heartbeat, the mass gap, of the plenum itself. Bringing all of these concepts together, the sources propose that the end of the Maya grand cycle isn't some doomsday event. It happens precisely when the cosmic system hits the topological wall of that 39th stratum. Because energy must dissipate, hitting this wall triggers a +1 Hz mass gap reset, essentially scaling up the fractal index of the entire system. According to the framework, the arrow of time, the complexity of chemistry, and these vast cosmic cycles are all driven forward by this quantum accumulation, relentlessly pushing us through the great year. According to the S-DMT framework, human consciousness sits at the maximal fractal index of k equals 39. So I'm going to leave you with this. If we are composed of this geometric fluid, and we're vibrating at the highest point of its fractal complexity, are we simply the universe's ultimate geometric reflection? Are we the eye through which this thixotropic plenum observes its own beautiful mathematical architecture? It's an incredibly profound thought to take away from this explainer. What do you think? Until next time, keep questioning the geometry of your reality.